Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Om Shri Bhagavad Gita. In the last video, we talked about verses 1, 2 and 3 from chapter 2. Continuing with the series, presenting verse 4, 5 and 6 from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Verse 4, chapter 2. The shloka says, "How can I, O Madhusudana, fight against Bhishma and Drona with arrows? Both of them are worthy of worship, O Arisudhana." Shri Krishna's words jolted Arjuna out of his panic attack and brought him to a state where he was ready to have a conversation. Since Arjuna's arguments from the previous chapter remained unanswered, hence he continued to insist on not fighting the war. Arjuna uses the words slayer of the demon Madhu and slayer of foes to address Sri Krishna, hinting that it is easy to slay evil individuals, but difficult to slay one's kinsmen. The fundamental problem still remained unresolved, which is that Arjuna was still holding on to the familial and teacher-student relationships in the context of a battlefield. But on the Kaurava's side, Bhishma and Drona viewed Arjuna as an enemy and not as a student or a family member. They were not under any delusion like Arjuna was. Friends, can we relate this to an example from our lives? Think of a father and mother who have brought up their children and, like any responsible parents, guided them as to what was right and what was wrong. When the children grow into adults, they now possess the ability to think for themselves and on occasion will consult their parents on decisions that they need help with. But similar to Arjuna's attachment to his elders, if the parents still hold on to the relationship they shared with their children, these grown-up children would not consider that to be appropriate behavior. And then this could impact the relationship with their parents. Verse 5, chapter 2. The shloka says, "I will not kill my respected teachers, because in this world I would prefer to partake the food received through alms rather than enjoy the blood-stained worldly pleasures derived from killing my teachers." This verse and the next few verses may seem similar to the ones we saw in the last chapter. But upon closer inspection, there are subtle differences. Arjuna's panic attack has ended, and his emotional state has become somewhat normal. The change in Arjuna's attitude is also indicated by the change in his arguments. What remains, though, is a tinge of the victim attitude indicated in the statement that he would prefer begging to hurting his teachers. But what is positive here is that Arjuna is slowly opening up to logical reasoning. Since he is no longer under the influence of the panic attack and his agitated state has subsided. The lesson here is that we cannot have a sane conversation with someone in a charged emotional state. Their mind has to calm down somehow in order to create room for logic. In this shloka, Arjun is still holding on to the position that he will definitely not kill his kinsmen. But as his emotional state calms down, we shall see him begin to question that position. Verse 6, chapter 2. The shloka says, to conquer them or to be conquered by them. I do not know which is the better of the two. After killing my kinsmen standing before me, I certainly don't wish to live. Here, we see Arjuna move away from the all or nothing position of I will not fight. His hardline position morphed into a dilemma. And the dilemma was as follows. Should I or should I not fight? I do not know which is correct. This question is the fundamental question that provokes the message of the Gita that we shall see very shortly. We face questions like this all the time. For example, a boss may like an employee, but his performance is bad, so the business will suffer if he does not fire the employee. Should he fire him or not? Questions like this arise all the time. Life is nothing but a series of actions driven by the day-to-day decisions we take. Here's another important point. Arjuna's teachers and elders were reverenced and respected by him. They gave him pleasure, but here they were in front of him, ready to kill him. Similarly, behind every pleasure-filled person, experience or object we encounter in life lies negative aspect. This is an interesting insight about life. The negative behind the positive. It is rare to find people, experiences, or objects that give us pleasure all of the time. Here's an example that resonates with us. A new house that was a source of joy in the beginning will cause grief when one has to pay for its maintenance. This brings me to the end of verse 6, chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. Till we meet again in the next video. Jai Shri Krishna. Shri Paramatmane Namaha.